the numbers for gas.
Yeah, you've got numbers there.
Well, this.
532?
Well, I had them, I called them for gas and for jet. I'm just saying that on the, for what I'm giving you tonight, we just are gonna be looking at jet, because I didn't have the numbers to set our price for gas.
And I grew up on that pressure switch too. I didn't research that very well. I'll find something for it.
Amazon.
So that's correct. BGP, that's correct. Do you have all those on here?
Yeah.
Yeah. 440, that's correct. Well, you know, this could be wrong too.
Well, I think the airport, you update that, don't you, Kelly?
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah, it's the airport manager, somebody has to get in there and update that.
Rochester's right. Kokomo's right. Huntington.
But I haven't got the invoice on, you say we did receive the gas?
Oh, yeah, Wednesday and Thursday last week.
I haven't seen the invoice on that, I got the invoice on the jet.
Did you?
Delphi is correct.
So, well, it is, we got 5 seconds left. 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, you've already turned on the red light.
So we're live.
Wow, good thing I was behaving myself.
Well, you weren't cussing, Jim.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order.
You have another one of these, Jim? For
I
Chris.
think I do.
We'll pass the buck in.
$2.
Per page.
Now we're ready.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock. It was advertised, and the meeting was advertised, as I shared with you gentlemen here just a minute ago. Got a form put together and put that out on Facebook. And we'll need to get with Chris and see what we do about getting on the other social media sites. We're gonna call that our advertising until somebody tells us it isn't. Roll call, we got everybody here except for Carl. We do have a guest with us, it's David Strong. And anyway, David's with the Civil Air Patrol, and he is the commander of a squadron up in Napanee. And so he was gonna spend a little time and talk to us, and I had a long conversation the other day that the biggest obstacle we've been running into, and quite honestly, I haven't worked very hard on this for some time, is getting the adult leadership lined up, finding people that want to get behind us and work on it. So I asked David if he might speak to us a little bit about any ideas or information he has that we could use to try to do that. I think that the Peru Community School Superintendent, I had a visit with him some time ago, and I need to get back with him, but he had a real favorable feeling toward Civil Air Patrol and something here in the community and in the schools and getting information out. And I've always had it in my head that with STEM education and those things, there was a nice mesh to come together there. And particularly the math and science teachers in that junior high school area, if they were willing to get involved and do it, would be excellent candidates for adult leadership. So that's kind of the brainstorm I got in my head. And then, of course, once you get that, then you got to get the youth involved in their quarters. Initially, we would start out as a flight underneath of an existing squadron. In our case, we would be a flight underneath Mindy over at Gas City. She's the commander of the squadron over there. And until we got our 15 youth signed up, and when we got 15 youth signed up, then we could break off and become our own squadron. So that's kind of the steps we have to go through. And Dave, if you've got anything on that you would like to add to that introduction?
Just a couple of
If you got anything
comments.
you need to correct, like,
Yes, I'm getting ready to do the corrections.
tell me after the meeting.
I'm not a commander. I deliberately stay out of command. But I am, that's my home squadron in Napanee. And as you can probably imagine, recruiting there is difficult, and it is. Most of our recruiting is done by word of mouth. Not very many cadets come from that area of Elkhart County. We do have cadets from St. Joseph and Marshall counties, We used to have a squadron years ago in Plymouth. That was before my time. I've been actively involved in Civil Air Patrol since 2016. What I'm going through here right now, and I'm sorting out all our propaganda handouts. Oops, I better not be careful what I say. And I'll probably catch it because I'm not in uniform, and I'm not authorized to speak for the Civil Air, the wing. But I do not know more than the average person out there. So with that, the commander, our wing commander should have no fear. Yes, adult leadership is critical. Mr. Clary is absolutely correct. Starting Mindy Hornbuckle over in Gas City, Grant County, in my estimation, is the best squadron commander in the state. That's because she's a retired Marine. She's been in the program for many years. So she knows the program inside and out. Her husband is also a retired military, which helps. They've got a boatload of grandkids. So she's very cadet oriented, let's put it that way. These are all yours. And if you want to put them in here to keep them safe, I'll give you that too here in a second. There you go. I tell you, what we basically need, aside from three adults, is we need space where we have secure storage for our property. That includes flags, pieces of uniforms, stim kits, pieces of sports equipment, laptops, things of that nature. You also need to have indoor space for inclement weather because they do a lot of drill. In nice weather, they're usually out on the ramp or out in the parking lot doing drill. But as we all know, winter's coming, and for the next 5 months maybe, it's going to be nasty outside.
How much space you need, Dave? Inside storage space?
Not that much. I don't know how much Napanee's given us. They're giving us a closet, basically, that we share with them. So we have steel 5-drawer filing cabinets and the ones that open and shut and lock. So we're not talking a huge space. Recruiting is always the hard part. Retention, to me, I think once you get the cadet in, is you got a lot. They have a lot of inertia. We in the program, there are different thoughts about recruiting cohorts of people. Basically, recruiting your friends and neighbors, and maybe some of the people you're going to school with. The age, minimum age is 12, so we're talking middle school, and there's no upper age limit. Okay, I'm 72, squadron commander down in one of the squadrons in Indianapolis. He's he's very close to 80. So once you turn 21, you're an adult member. Can't be a cadet anymore, sorry. What we did to, we thought we were going to recruit in Mishawaka. We recruited a lot of teachers, lots of teachers, science teachers, with our STEM kits. it's, if the teachers don't want to commit a lot of time to Civil Air Patrol, they can become what's called a aerospace education member. It's $35 one time only. People tell me I can't use lifetime. That's misleading. Well, that's what it amounts to. And that entitles you basically to access to all free, and these STEM kits are free. They come with a couple of conditions that you order it, and then you go online and you do an evaluation, and you don't get your next STEM kit till you evaluate the one we just gave you, right? Which is reasonable. Recruiting here in Miami County, I would think you may want to spread that out to maybe Lewis Cass schools as well. Of course, you got North Miami, Peru, and Maconaquah. And you may want to look not necessarily at the civil city of Peru, but some of the other smaller towns in Miami County, Walton, Converse, whatever, that may be able to help you with the space. What else? 1,400 members in the state, that's split about 60% cadet, 40% adults. 69,000 statewide, or worldwide rather. And we have a worldwide because we have a few squadrons and bases in like Okinawa and over in Germany. And those are not, and those are exclusively cadets. There's absolutely, and one of the big selling, to me, one of the big selling points in this was there's no military commitment, absolutely zero. It's been that way since, at least 1968. We get most of our funding from the Air Force through a grant. Right now, like most of the other federal entities, we're not operating very much. Basically, right now, we're just meeting, excuse me, and we're doing self-funded flying. In order to do self-funded flying, we got to go to the wing commander and get permission, and they bill you. It's, I think the current rate, dry rate for a 170, no, it's a 182. Current it's basically subsidized flying. I don't want to quote what the rates are because I'll get them wrong, but I don't know where to go to find them. And that's what one of the attractions for pilots. Cadets can earn their private pilot's license through a variety of programs. Us older folks, we don't get that advantage. However, if you do have a pilot's license already when you join, there are some incentive programs to upgrade your license, like the commercial or instrument or CFI. And they will pay for that. And in return, you get to go to Flight Academy. The Flight Academy, there's 2 flight academies here in the Great Lakes. One is over in Mantoon, Charleston, Illinois, at Coles County Airport, and the other one is up at Oshkosh. I worked on staff at Coles County one year, pulling gliders out of the infield. I lost about 10 pounds worth of water weight doing that in a week. So there are opportunities if you come in as an adult with a license of some kind, and there are programs you can participate in to upgrade, all right? If you're younger than I am and you have a pilot's license, I would seriously consider doing that, because they're, you know, it's a great way to upgrade. Plus, you know, if I'm going to upgrade to an instrument, okay, Civil Air Patrol is going to pay for it. But what do I have to pay them in return? Well, I've got to work a week at Coles County, but you're flying and logging hours. What's wrong with that, right? And of course, in order to retain airframes, we got to put hours on an airframe. So any excuse, any mission that we can think of, hopefully, and that people will fund, we'll jump on it. The lady that out there in Putnam County, west of Avon, who was lost in the woods for 8 days, and they found her. We were called on that. 3 of our guys from Indianapolis jumped in a plane. I don't know how many hours they flew, and of course, they didn't find her. Law enforcement did 8 days later, and I'm sure that case is not closed yet. What else can I tell you? It's tough recruiting. You know, since 1973, there's been no draft. It's all been all volunteer. And again, we're not, it will look like we might be a recruiting agent for the Armed Forces of the United States of America and the War Department or Department of Defense, whatever they're calling themselves this week. But we're not. Again, the bulk of our money comes from a grant from the Air Force, and we appreciate that, and we go visit them every February. In late February, we go and we see our representatives in the lobby for Civil Air Patrol. And we also have a page day down at the Indiana General Assembly in the State House. That happens about the middle of February every year. It's a one-day event. The state does not support us through any sort of appropriation or gifts in kind. And we're one of, I think, only 10 states that where the states don't support Civil Air Patrol in respective states. Arizona, you know, depends on where you're at as to how well they support you. We do have what I'm going to direct your attention to a website. If you want to see pictures of what we do, once you get through basic encampment, and basic encampment used to be at Atterbury, but is now, last year it was, last year was at Terre Haute. We're going to be back in 26. We're going to be back over at Indiana Tech in Fort Wayne. They just offer us a better deal. And of course, Atterbury is going to be busy with detainees for a while. So they don't want Civil Air Patrol people down there, which is understandable. We have what we call National Emergency Services Academy. It's been in Indiana since 1999. And that was stationed at Atterbury, or executed out of Atterbury. The website, you should go to Google and put in Civil Air Patrol, 3 words, Smug Mug. So 5 words total. Smug Mug is 2 words, SMUG, MUG. When that comes up, click on the search result. I think it's going to be the top one. And that will take you to a site where Civil Air Patrol has all its special activities. Most kids join Civil Air Patrol to fly, but there are other activities. We've got airport operations and construction. I spent 2 one-week sessions out at Cessna in Independence, Kansas. And that was very interesting because at that time, it was 172s, 182s. They were making citations, one of the variants of the citation. And that big ugly cargo plane, whatever, it begins with the C. I forget what the name of it is. We also do, if you're interested in space, we have a civilian one down at the Cape. We have a military site out at Colorado Springs at Peterson Air Force Base. So, and if you can find space and 3 adults, Mindy's a retired Marine, I think, an E8. So, and she's been around for such a long time, she knows it like her name. There's no better mentor than Mindy Hornbuckle, in my estimation. I'll be glad to come down if you guys want to try to go into for teachers. They want to shy away from the military, most of them. So my experience with what we did in Mishawaka, I knew that at the time he was the assistant superintendent, now he's the superintendent. He grew up over here in Logansport. So I asked him, can we come in and do a presentation after school with all our STEM, well, not all of them, but a good share of our STEM kits. So it was voluntary. Teachers showed up, they loved it. The school board paid the $35. Okay. Once you get these STEM kits, you get to keep them. So the smart way to do this is have several teachers in the school corporation decide, okay, you order these set of 7 and I'll order this set of 7 and so on and so forth. And then once we're done, we can swap internally, right, amongst ourselves. So that way, the one teacher doesn't have all 25 STEM kits, right, and worried about how am I going to store these things, or maybe growing legs and disappearing. I'll be glad to come down. We can talk to Peru. Mindy and I did a recruiting event down at Mechaniqua 2 years ago. Haven't been to the junior high here in town, nor have I been to North Miami. But if you want to get in and talk to the teachers, weather and road conditions permitting, I'll be glad to come down. What else? Are there any questions from you gentlemen? Off the wall? I'll take just anything.
Well, you said they have to go to like boot camp.
Yeah, that's the encampment.
How long?
That's 1 week, and there's scholarships available for that. Okay. There's also, I don't want to call it a scholarship, but once you pass your Curry, which is your first ribbon, right, your first stripe, Vanguard Military sends you a voucher based on your income level that's good for uniforms, okay? And you know what you need, and so you got, let's hypothetically say it's $100, right? So you need a belt, you need trousers, you need a shirt. Not everybody will need that combination, so it depends on what you need. But you do get a voucher for that.
The adults or the kids?
For the kids. Yeah, excuse me, I wasn't clear on that. So trying to make it as easy to join and participate as possible.
So what's the main mission of the Civil Air?
3 missions are emergency services, cadet programs, and aerospace education. And talk a little bit about the aerospace education aspect of it. Cadet programs are basically a lot of leadership type courses. We realize that not everybody wants to be a commander or a leader. It's just, you know, they do drilling ceremonies. They make friends from other parts of the state. I'm really not, the cadet, we teach what we call character night, character development. Basically, it's ethics, okay? Once a month is character development, PT, physical training, aerospace, and there's another one that I'm forgetting. One of the things about if you're a teacher, you're entitled to 1 free 60-minute flight per year.
60 minutes?
Yeah. Yeah, we take, yeah.
That's a lot of pattern work.
Well, we take them, well, for instance, we were gonna fly teachers, what is it, the 4th or the 5th? The 4th, we were gonna fly the teachers up in Michigan City on the 6th. Well, we don't have any money because the government shut down, right? And we generally fly them out of LaPorte if possible. Because why LaPorte? Why can't you fly them out of Michigan City? Well, because they have a simulator there. And if the teachers want to practice on the simulator, well, guess what? They can practice, right? Same logic with cadets, right? When we fly, we have orientation flights with cadets. Cadets are entitled to a maximum of 5 front seat rides between the time they join and the time they turn 18. Most squadron commanders track that religiously. If you want to fly, fine. We have cadets that absolutely do not want to fly, fine. But it's available. Unlimited backseat flights, with the exception of when we demonstrate spins, right? For obvious reasons. It's 1 hour, a 1 hour flight. They've got a syllabus, you know, turns, climbs, descents, takeoffs, landings. Now, the cadet will not do that, right? It's the pilot that our orientation pilot will do that. Here's how we take off and why we do this, right? Same way with landing, right? So it gives the cadets some experience, a taste of what flying's all about. Same reason with teachers. We've had it, you know, where they would take off with a teacher. They've prearranged it. You know, they take pictures. Sometimes they try to make cell phone contact with the guys on the ground, you know, and they're out there in the playground waving to the teacher, type of a thing. So it's emergency services, cadet programs, and aerospace. And aerospace is not only with the teachers, but with the membership, adults and cadets. We have EAA Chapter 938, I think it is. The number in Napanee. Occasionally they'll come in and teach something for us. They're very good about that. The emergency services is dependent upon, quite frankly, your topography. You know, and up here in this part of the state, you know, it's about as flat as this table, right? So if you go down, you know, I mean, you know, I'm going to call the sheriff. Well, we have a protocol, you know, we follow. for alerting, right, and mission numbers. It goes down to the EOC in Indianapolis, and they call Panama City, Florida, which is our EOC, national EOC. And they give us a mission number, they give us the money. Okay, here's a mission number, here's the money. Go out and fly for the Putnam County Sheriff, you know, and file the paperwork when you get back, right? If you know what it looks like during the summertime. It's real hard to find a person, let alone a plane, sometimes, in this foliage, right? We do have ground teams for those people who want to, I call them ground pounders, affectionately. And part of the ground pounding team is drone flyers. Civil Air Patrol's throwing a lot of money into drones right now. So, and quite frankly, we were behind the power curve a little bit in this wing relative to others, but we're catching up. A lot of people, particularly in Valpo, like to fly drones. Our state drone director is out of the Valparaiso Squadron. So between that and I'm trying to convince them, although you get this at the Emergency Services Academy down in Camp Atterbury, but my introduction to man-tracking canines, you know? People in Miami County know something about that. And I'm of the opinion that that subject is not introduced early enough in the curriculum, okay? Because if you're up there and you're looking for a person that's deep in the woods and on the 4th of July, you're not going to see him, pretty much, unless you've got a dog, right? Now, with 406 beacons, with all the information that's encoded in there, plus we have a national cell phone forensics team that does they won't tell me how they do it, triangulations, you know. So when we do go out and search, it really narrows the scope of the search and based on cell phone hits, right? And they sometimes use radar analysis from the FAA that they get as well, on top of the cell phone forensics. So there's all sorts of opportunities. We don't wish anybody to have their airplane fall out of the sky, but when it does, we'd like to be involved in the search and rescue part of that.
So would you say the Civil Air Patrol heightened the level of exposure to your airport?
Oh, yeah. You know, and if most of our squadrons, most of our community-based squadrons, as this one would be, are at an airport somewhere, okay? School squadrons, as the name implies, they're at schools, right? But yes, short answer is yes to your question.
That's all you can do.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I would only assume that would be the case, but to what level? Because our big issue here at this airport, we're supposed to be self-sufficient. How would Civil Air Patrol make us self-sufficient? How would it assist in making us self-sufficient?
Yeah.
There's a big problem,
Yeah.
right?
Unskilled labor, cheap unskilled labor for events.
Indentured labor, I love it.
Indentured labor. But I wouldn't trust cadets with a power tool or anything like that. But yeah, how can that make you self-sufficient by lowering your operating cost, right?
Yeah.
So I'm at at least my thinking in about that topic, I don't know if I'm on point or not, we can assess that. I never saw it as something that would make us self-sufficient or contribute any significant amount of money for cash flow to our operations. My, I don't know whether the hurts or costs.
Yeah,
We might gain a little bit from fuel sales and some things like that, right? But, even when I first met with the mayor, and we were talking about these different things, I explained to him that the airport will never be self-sufficient, because we only got two sources of income, and they'll never generate it out. But, is it something that would add value to the community? A youth program that's adding some value to our community, it's adding value to our educational system, it's adding value in a number of different ways. So it's not a cash value add, but it is a significant value add. Look at the things
So
here,
what kind of money would we need to budget for something like that?
mostly funded by the airport.
Mostly funded by the Air Force. And we do have fundraising activities. If a squadron wants to go to the Air Force Museum, let's say, spend a couple days, okay, go out, have a bake sale or whatever to generate some cash. We do have a fleet of vans, okay, 9-passenger, most of them are either 9 or 12 passenger. And we just, pay for the gas, well, the Air Force, fuel receipts, right? So we do have a way to get transportation from point A to point B relatively inexpensively, right? But yeah,
Can I ask a question?
yes, sir.
Okay, let's just say that we've got an established squadron,
Mm.
and we're out trying to recruit kids, so we say, well, we just took a bus trip this past weekend up to Harrison and Kalamazoo.
Mhm.
So we're gonna take some kids and go up there to Harrison and Kalamazoo and say, well, kids,
Mm.
you can all bring a friend.
Mhm.
So you get 6 cadets and 6 friends and use that as a recruiting tool. Would that be an acceptable thing to have a non-cadet on that?
Ooh, that is a good legal question for liability. That's, just like airplanes, it revolves around liability, because you'd be in a Civil Air Patrol van. Could you do it in your privately owned vehicle? Yeah, but I don't know the legal ramifications of that. So, and they want you in uniform when you fly, or in one of our many uniform combinations, either when you're doing something representing Civil Air Patrol in public, sorry, for tonight, or in a van or an airplane, they want you in uniform.
Okay.
So, and that's reasonable.
Who pays for the uniforms then? The cadets or?
The cadets, sometimes the larger squadrons have a supply room, right? And as they grow, they swap things out, right? So we recycle them a lot, right? If you buy it, it's yours to do with it what you want. Again, there's a voucher to help you get started, okay? Black boots, we don't tell you what brand to buy, but they have to be black.
For self-storage, for locker space and everything, we got that electrical vault. We can store their stuff in, so that worked out good.
Probably need to try to kind of wrap this up. We've got a number of other things.
Yeah, well, let me, yeah, I'm done, gentlemen.
So, anybody else got some questions for Dave, or anything's come to mind?
I guess I have one.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to have or are you allowed to have certain sponsorships for events? Or do you have the opportunity, or do you have to go through the regional, or I don't know how your offices are set up?
Sponsorships, give me an example.
Let's say if we did do a bus trip or something, you wanted somebody to sponsor a Civil Air Patrol event.
Yeah, yes, there is a way. We've never done that before, but there's a fundraising regulation, and what number it is, but it talks about that sort of thing, sponsorships, you know. Mhm.
Anybody else?
Well, Mr. Clary's got my phone number, and please don't be bashful. Here, I'll give you this back.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Mhm. Mm. Mm.
Well, Dave, thank you for taking your time to come down here and share with us this evening, and a lot of good information here. I'm sure
Mhm.
time will stir some more questions.
Mm.
Maybe
Yeah.
other folks in the community that might help us try to get
Yeah.
this going.
Mhm. Yeah, it's only a 75-minute drive for me, so it's not too bad, particularly when it's not bad weather. Yeah, snowing or ice. But yeah, follow your questions through Mr. Clary, or, yeah, gocivilairpatrol.com is our webpage, and it's pretty easy to navigate through there. So and again, I'd take a look at some of the photos, because photos tell a better story than I can at that Smug Mugs website. So, thank you, gentlemen.
Well, thank you very much. All right. First business item we have to deal with here this evening on the agenda is the approval of the August minutes. We do not have minutes from September or October because we did not have quorums in September and October. So, Chris, you got copies of the August minutes?
I think I gave them out before.
Okay, yeah, they have been distributed previously. I didn't know if anybody needed to refresh their mind on that. Yeah.
I've got one clean copy. I wrote on my other copy, and this one I gotta turn in to the city tomorrow.
Yeah, what we got here?
Once you guys look it over and pass it around, get it back to me.
Did you have so you got a copy you're passing around?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's do this. Let's move on with our other agenda items and then just keep circulating that so you all can take a look at it. And then we'll come back to it after everybody's had a chance to take a look and refresh their memories. Is that okay? All righty. So we'll come back to the minutes here a little bit later on. Bruce?
Okay. Yes, for any viewers, my name is Bruce Payton. I am standing in tonight for your program director for Hanson Professional Services. Joe Worley is out of the office until tomorrow. He's been traveling, so he'll be back in. I have two items to discuss with you this evening. First of all, on page 2 of the packet, you'll see the capital improvement program from fiscal year 26 through 31. This document is due into Department of Indiana Department of Transportation by December 1st. So this is something that we always have the boards review. Essentially, this is the game plan for your federal, state, and local funding for the next 5 years. This project, or this capital improvement program, or CIP, has not really changed. And there are some things that we have done is we've built a tremendous amount of flexibility into this. All airports do that. We try to work to maximize the ability and flexibility for the airport, still be able to maintain the requirements of the Federal Aviation Administration and Department of Transportation. What you'll see is coming up in fiscal year 26, and I'm not going to go through each individual item, but I'll just touch on the importance. We have taken all available monies, your non-primary entitlement monies from a couple of years that have been rolled over, and your non-primary entitlement money that's coming from the Federal Aviation Administration in 26. We've taken funding from the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, and what we're doing is we're focusing 100% of the efforts to get the hangars built and get them where you can start generating revenue out of those hangars that the site has been prepared for over this past summer. That is the number one priority for your airport in our minds, based on your direction. We want to get it where you can get some people in there and start building the hangar renters and users of the airport. Then you'll notice that depending on the volatility of construction cost for these hangars, we may be using some of 2027 non-primary entitlement money, should the hangar prices come in just a little higher than anticipated. But we're just using that kind of as a contingency. So what we've essentially done is we've moved the relocating the taxiway connector project that's a requirement of the FAA. We've moved that on into fiscal year 2028, essentially focusing all of our efforts on getting this hangar project finished for you. To this point, the FAA has not been down really putting any heavy weight on you to get that project done, so we're going to utilize that flexibility if we can. So as you can see, that project is going to take us on through the fiscal year 2031 to get that project completed. So that really is what's covering the next 5 years. Do you have any questions on what you've seen? I think this is a document that you've all been looking at for a while, but I'll be happy to answer any questions.
What's the plan, I mean, when they start building, the actual building, when does that plan start? Spring?
So that's the plan, is we're getting into the design. We're actually already into fiscal year 2026. So we're going to start on the design, get this out to bid, and try to get those hangars under construction this upcoming construction season, if not sooner.
Pretty straightforward, Bruce.
Okay. So it's important that the board, if you so approve, that you would direct your chairman to move this on to Joe Worley so we can submit it on your behalf by December 1.
So we just need to approve the 5-year plan, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah,
So I make a motion that we approve the 5-year plan that Bruce has laid out to us.
Motion.
I'll second.
Bill and Chris, any other questions or discussion? There being none, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries.
Okay, thank you. We'll get that paperwork in process and get it moving forward. The second item I have to present to you tonight, your chairman, Mr. President here, has a copy of the pay request for the existing project that you have. This is a pay request number 3. We actually had submitted this a little differently, and what we were trying to do is get the contractor paid in full as quickly as possible, given the nature the concerns in the federal government right now. So essentially, the FAA reviewed that and said that would, by doing this, the way we had planned, it would put the project into a higher rate of completion, and that would launch us into having to do a full inspection, all the final inspections, the punch list, and that would greatly delay the amount of time before the contractor can get his reimbursed for his project. So what he recommended is that we do this pay request for $32,000. Essentially, it's, I think, $6,000 less than what the total project was. They recommend that we do this for $32,000. Of that $32,000, $28,800 is the federal share of that. The state share is $1,600 and the local share is $1,600. What this will do is this will get the quickest payment of the largest amount of money back to your outstanding local contractor that did this job. Joe has in fact talked with the contractor, and he's understanding of this and certainly willing to work in whatever. Once we get this going, they can turn it around, they think, pretty quickly at the federal level, get this payment back to them, and then the remainder, which will be pay request 4, will be after the final punch list, all of the items, any corrections that need to be made, and that will be a total of $6,436.25, of which $59.72 will be feds share, $321.81 will be the state and local share equally. So we just need approval for Mr. Clary to sign this pay request, and he had noted one date issue just down in the forums a little bit later that we'll make those changes before we send that final pay request to the feds.
What's the level of completion right now on the project?
Thank you. That's a very good point. The reason we moved it back is because it puts it at 97.4%, which is under the threshold, just under the threshold that triggers all of the final inspections and punch list items, which drag out a long period of time.
Are we
And-
still gonna have to go through that though?
Yes, we'll still have to go through it, but by doing it this way, the FAA is saying, let's get the money back in the hands of the contractor as much as we can right now. They've put out the good faith effort to do your fine work, so we want to get it paid as quickly as possible.
I am a little confused in that I thought after we paid the $472, our share was 20, anyway, last summer, and then we paid them, and then there was a retainage, and then they came out, cleaned up a few little things that needed to be taken care of, and then that retainage was released, and so I thought this contract was done. I don't know what was done, what the $32,000 was for.
This was the final submittal from Smith Construction,
Okay.
excavation.
So our portion is 32,000?
No.
That's the total amount.
No.
Our portion's $1,600.
Okay, so that's what we need.
That'll come out of our funds.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, Mr. Chairman, I apologize, having not been involved in the project, I'm not aware of what transpired there.
Yeah, it's probably right here, we just studied it. 555 was the original bid for the whole thing, and we had paid 472 through that last payment. The math is probably there, they just make it
Yeah,
difficult to follow.
I have the email from the FAA, if you would like me to.
No, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, but he recognizes in the email that this was the total, this is what they've paid to date. That leaves this remainder, and by going with that full remainder, what that would do is launch it into the higher rate of completion, level of completion.
So the project is basically complete except for Punch list items?
the paperwork and the punch list items.
Primarily, I would say paperwork, because they did come back and do the punch list.
Yeah.
That's been done. The total project was $555, $541 had been paid on the project up through totals today. That includes this.
So you need a motion to approve the third pay request.
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to approve the third request, pay request.
And then I'll second it. And give you the question.
Any other questions,
No.
discussion? All in favor
We
of the
only,
motion?
we just owe 16.
1,600 will come out of our.
Right, so that'll get this moved forward.
Right, yeah. So, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you for bearing with me. That's all I have.
All right.
Thanks, Bruce.
Um,
I think everyone got to look at the minutes,
Yeah, I went all the way around.
so we need a,
I'll make a
Okay, yeah.
motion that we accept the minutes as written.
Second.
You guys don't let someone else play?
Nobody else is speaking up?
Trying to get it done.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor that we accept the minutes from the August meeting. Are there questions or discussion? There being none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is the financial reports, and I have put them out there for you to look at. The financial reports suggest that we have a total of $2,151 left in our fund account.
You spent 1,600, now you got 500.
Yeah, that's gotta last us till the end of the year. Now, what the problem here is I really can't explain to you or know just exactly where we have it, because there are some funds, like the 50-some thousand that we got back from that wetlands money. It's like 56,000 that refunded, which, that's what triggered me to say, yeah, let's go ahead and get that seal project done, because that gave us the money to do it. So, we're not totally underwater. We will probably get about $40,000 in December. That'll be the tax revenue that comes in. We'll get a couple more rounds of hangar rent. We'll get October. No, we've got October, so we'll get November, December hangar rents. So we get close, just in round numbers, a couple $1,000 there, so that'll be about another 4,000. And so, so those are gonna be the two primary sources of money that come in over the next 60 days to cover our operating expenses. So, we're gonna be close. We will do the best job we ever have at hitting our budget at the end of the year, right down to the end. So that's the story there, but I just can't tell you what we got. I'm gonna go have a conversation, I mentioned this earlier, Kelly. I'm gonna go have a conversation with Jeff Marburger and see if I can't get the system that he was using up and running for this next year. And he had a system working that we could set at these meetings, and we knew exactly where we were at on every category, every line item. So, I mean, the report somewhat mimicked its appropriations report, but in this case, where some of the money came in and it went back into the fund balance and this and that, it's just hard to keep track of it, so we would at least know where we're at and have a better feel for it. Next item would be the fuel report, I believe. Losing track of it. Oh, yeah. Okay, well, let's go, okay, fund balance. Yeah, Kelly, let's go through your report.
For the month of October, we sold 140. For the month of October, we sold 147.48 gallons of jet, 100 low lead, with our delivery, our new 100 low lead levels of 3,068 gallons. We sold no jet fuel for the month of October, with our 4,000 gallons of delivery. Our Jet A level is now 5,321 gallons. went well. I think we're good on that.
There were some people that were a little uncomfortable with the striping, particularly the center lines on the taxiways and stuff.
Yeah.
And Andy did come back out and work on that. They're not perfect, but they're considerably better.
Yeah, yeah, so I'm happy with that. He did well then.
It looks good from the
Sky?
From the air, you can
Black,
spot.
the black and
you can
white
spot it
stands
pretty
out, doesn't
good.
it?
Yeah, I actually took a picture of it the other day from,
I saw that, he posted that.
yeah,
Good picture. Jet A went out of service last week. Me and Chris found a bunch of specks in the fuel samples. We weren't sure what it was, so I checked with Avfuel. They're beginning to think that might have been dirt, and they think the vent system on the Jet A tank's not working right, so we are getting clean samples now, so they just said just keep it clean in the meantime, so, which we are, so. So next year we wanna look at having that vent on the Jet A tank looked at then, so. But right now, our samples are back to normal now, so. I think that's about all I got, guys.
Okay. Any questions for Kelly? All righty. Here's where we stand. I don't know what our credit balance is up at Apple. I haven't received it. Do not have a statement as of October. I did send an email to see if I could get one for the meeting, but I did not. That was a pretty good chunk of money up there for the last time we checked on it. The bill for the 4,002 gallons that we, 4,006 gallons that we received was $10,712, and that had all of the federal taxes and what have you in it. So that's the cost to us in the tank. We received the 4,000 gallons. So that works out to be about $2.67 per gallon in the ground. So if I use our formula that we normally work with, and I just didn't take into consideration at all what was left in the tank and the other. I usually blend this with the other gallons, so I need to know. The other fuel we had that's in there is a little lower cost than this. So I need to know what the gallons, what we had in the tank before they dumped their 4,000 in.
There's 1,200 gallons in there.
Okay.
1,200
So
gallons.
that will lower this cost number just a little bit. Anyway, but just going strictly on this most recent purchase, not considering the blend, so our cost is $2.67 a gallon. We got it charged 20 cents a gallon in excise tax that goes back down to the state. We do have the ability to get a little better margin on our jet fuel than we do the gas, and so I plugged $1 in per gallon for profit on that. So that takes it to $3.87. That puts in about 12 cents for the card processing fee. So we come in about $3.99. I ran this is in your packet that I gave you, and that gives you a comparison at our $3.99 to everybody else. We're actually still in pretty good shape. We would be 15 cents higher than Rochester, 4 cents higher than Winnemac, 7 cents higher than Plymouth, and 4 cents higher than Knox. And on that, we have a cost advantage on all of the other communities in the area. So I would say we just leave it at the $3.99 and go with it, unless you have another. I mean, we could lower it. If we lowered it 25 cents, we'd be ahead of everybody. Put it at 75 cents.
We're at 450 for it right now, so.
We're what?
450 a gallon for Jet A then, so.
That's where we're at now.
Right.
Okay, well, we could just take it down to an even $4.
Okay, Chris, you can do it tomorrow then. I'll be out of town then, but.
Or you want us to get below the market on everyone?
Well, I mean, we're not losing money, and we got a bunch of fuel sitting there that could potentially go bad.
Jet won't, we don't have that problem with jet. It's the gasoline that we have to pay close attention to.
Yeah.
Once the gasoline gets aging out to about a year, we gotta match it with as much, whatever's in that tank, we gotta put that much in. So we did that. Now, the problem, what'd you say we got with that?
3,200 gallons.
3,200. See, we're only selling about 2,000 a year, so
we're gonna be back up.
we're gonna be sitting there, looking there, 1,200, 1,500 gallons unless we do something. Now, through the winter months, actually on the gasoline, I mentioned this to Joel the other day, when we could do the same thing with jet, really, if we wanted to see if we could get more November, December, January, February, we're not gonna sell much. So I often thought about just taking it down, just sell it for what we paid for it. That'd get us way down below some people, maybe we would get some of that turnover in the winter months that we don't normally see. We've got a good cash reserve up there,
Oh, yeah.
so we've got some room to do that. How do you guys feel about that, using that strategy?
I like it.
They get more traffic coming to us, and
So, I mean, if I.
maybe they'll come in buy a Snickers bar or something.
And go-
Start selling Snickers for $3.
There you go.
Absolutely.
There's
It's called self-sufficiency. We
Yeah,
sell
so
Snicker bars.
we could be selling, so we could set that price like at $2.99.
Yeah, yeah.
We could put it down to about $2.99 or $3 a gallon through the winter months and see how much of it we move out.
You only hurts that jet fuel, they don't have Chris in, so that helps.
Well, that's true, that's,
So
yeah.
that's gonna.
Well, I may be, but it still might be an incentive. That's my point, is it might provide an incentive for some people to come down and buy some of it.
I think it's
And
good.
you've got the additive.
Oh, we got the can, certainly, it's on emergency, they can use it, certainly.
Yeah,
So
we've got an additive they can put in.
It's still
So we
there.
might do that, and then when I get the price on the gas that's in there, I may do the
Yes.
same thing there.
I'm all for it, cause that,
We have an additive there in the airport, so we
Yeah.
can sell that.
yeah, $10 a can, they have like, so, yeah.
How much do we have?
About, 10 cans of it, then, quite a bit then.
How
so.
much does a can treat?
Each can, 120 gallons then, something like that, so.
How much wood chuck?
So anyway, if you all are comfortable with that, let's see what we can do.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and advertise it for $4.
Well, we're at 450 with jet.
Leave it at 4.
We're at
I'm saying take it down, take any profit out of it here through the winter, just to see if we can turn it over.
The jet
No,
fuel.
absolutely, yeah.
Let's take a small amount of profit.
How much?
Well, 10 cents would be nothing on a $4 item. I mean, you know, where you at, your closest competitor
We're
is,
right at $4 right now.
384 Rochester, right?
Yep.
You put it at 350, way below everybody else.
349 or something like that.
For
I mean,
jet fuel.
it's nice to get traffic, but
Yeah.
it'd be nice to make a little something too.
Okay.
And if you do too cheap, you know how that is, people always are suspicious of something that's too cheap, like, what's going on here?
Not me.
Nothing.
I am.
I wait till it gets home and breaks. Okay. well,
I'd say let's make something. I
Okay,
mean,
well, then
we don't have to
let's-
make a
let's-
lot. but-
Okay, let's do it at 249.
All right, Chris, so you can lower that, Chris can lower that down.
49 on Jet A.
249.
249.
Yeah, 349, I'm sorry. Thank you.
349, Chris.
349
Or
on
jet
that
fuel.
lead.
That
I don't
puts
know
you
which one.
substantially below anybody here.
Yeah,
100 low lead,
100
No,
lower.
no,
Jet
that's
A.
on jet.
Yeah, jet fuel, Chris, yeah.
We don't know where we're at on the 100 load.
349
Or
on
jet
Jet
fuel.
A.
Right, because we don't know what 100 low that's gonna do yet.
I'm gonna cut that
Do
off
that
in
tomorrow.
April
Yeah,
and look at a new price then.
yeah.
Or, you know, we may not be looking at a new
We'll probably,
price.
we'll probably
Jack
want to order
it.
new fuel, probably go with our blend price.
Yeah.
Okay?
So through March of 26.
Okay. I have no other new business, I just got my laundry list of old things and ways to be. I'm gonna.
What are you gonna do on 100 low lead?
I don't know.
You ain't got the
I
invoice
don't
yet.
know what it's gonna cost us.
Oh, you don't have any of them.
Yeah. I'll do something similar to this, though, on the 100 roll that, probably get it down pretty, I wanna keep, putting on that one, we really need to cycle a bit of that out of there,
Yep.
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, and you can count, I mean, unless we just have a terrible winter, you can count on some, or 100 low lead
Oh,
through
yeah.
the winter.
Yeah, don't get a lot, so we'll see if we can't push that up a little bit. Okay, I'll run through this real quick, and just still got on, the first one I'm gonna put there's not on the list. I really want us to start the year off, Kelly, this is gonna put a lot on you and Chris, you guys at the airport. I wanna know what the daggum projects are gonna be January 1 when we start the year, instead of screwing around and not deciding, well, we need to do this, or we need to do that.
Yeah.
We know what needs to be done out at that airport, start getting the quotes on it,
Okay.
and getting it lined up so we can start prioritizing it and going through it.
Right.
Follow what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, I agree on that, yeah.
So, we're gonna work on, I had a little visit with Andrea about the hangar roofs, because we took a big one off of the table this year by getting the runway seal and the crack seal projects done.
Right.
And last year when we did the budget talks, I had 5 years worth of stuff out there. So the hangar roofs are the next big one. My thinking is at least to give this a try, it may or may not work, but since we're gonna be building hangars, you're gonna already have one company out there that can put a roof on a hangar. So let's get some bids on hangar roofs, on boat hangars, again. And then when the project comes in to start doing the hangar project, we'll put that bid out and see if we can, what we can get. Maybe the guy that's doing those hangars will say, yeah, it's already here, I got my crew here, we can give them a little better price and get those hangar roofs.
Well, do we put that in along with the,
We can't make that a part of the property project.
I mean, anybody can put that roof on, right? It doesn't have to be a licensed FAA.
No.
We use special metal, can't use.
We can
special
spec
green.
It's
whatever
all
we
control
put
on
on.
us, we can do whatever we want.
It just airport stuff, it usually has to be FAA approved for
Yeah.
certain burn material or paint can't burn or whatever. But it could be anybody though, right?
So I think what we would wanna do is work with Joe and get the same spec out for those other roofs as the roofs we'll be using on the new hangars. So I think that guy, he might come back to it and do it with a different spec on the other two, well, it's already here, it's just, they're shipping a different material. So let's go ahead and figure out what we want, what spec we want. And I know you guys wanna call it seamless or whatever.
On
On the roofs.
seamless results.
standing seam?
Huh?
Standing seam.
Yes, standing seam, I'm sorry.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, well, that's okay. See,
You just don't want to take,
I was
don't want
close
to take it
enough.
out serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah,
So let's start, so we know that's one thing we want to try to work on.
Yeah.
And I think that the city's gonna work with us on that, maybe use some seeded money to get that paid for and get it
Are
done.
we talking both hangers?
Yeah,
that's about right now. The tractor's got to have some new tires on, we're looking between 2,000 to 3,000, so we need to plan for that then.
what's that?
The front tires on the tractor are really getting bad on it. And I have a price of 15 to 2,000 on those tires.
Okay,
So we
we'll
gotta
start getting that stuff all lined up, because something else may not
So,
happen.
so the roof is,
Go ahead.
the roof is a priority for sure.
Yeah,
Okay, so are you gonna get a running list of what priorities that we need to take a look at?
yeah, the roof's one.
I mean, you don't have to do it right now.
No, but roofs, I'm getting them, bathrooms remodeled, because when people use bathrooms, they see it, they need it. So that'd be, those two priorities right there, roofs, getting bathrooms remodeled, yeah. And Chris can help me on that too then, so,
And we can get a lot of that work done with a little
Yeah.
elbow grease of our own.
yeah, I'd say that's big, and they also about Boyer Center, you want to get that shored up too then, so. you
Well,
talked about that.
I've had some pushback on that.
Have you?
Yeah, why do you wanna throw more money? Somebody told me I was throwing good money after bad.
Yeah.
On the hanger?
On that, about that Boyer, that three-sided thing, the ice cream.
Tear it down.
So,
So you wanna take care of it?
Yeah,
well, we do use it to store, it gives you cover for your tractor and cars and stuff.
You probably won't need it after you get new hangers, right?
Well, hopefully those are full of airplanes.
Yeah.
Move some of the airplanes that we got that don't fly out of there, or what?
As long as they're paying, they're good airplanes.
yeah. Now, once we find out who the contractor is for those buildings, then we'll have to get ahold of that contractor and say, are you interested in doing putting in bids in, so once we
Well,
find out.
we'll just issue a request for bids.
All right,
So on January 1st, we wanna have our quotes in, is what you're saying?
No, well, I don't know, I don't
Cover
know if we have to
project
have all the
list.
quotes, I just
Project
wanna know
list.
what you're gonna do.
yeah,
What you
I
think
think
you're
you need to
gonna
leave
do.
on there, I don't know if we have a budget still, but you just spent, we spent $40,000-$50,000 on a runway and taxiway,
No, we spent $75,000.
$5,000. We need to have some money in there for next year for doing maintenance, so we don't have 10 years go by.
Well, here's what okay, you bring up a good point, glad you asked that question. That's a good question.
Wasn't really a question,
I'll pass this thing goes out through 31. So anyway, so I filled this out, and then he wants to know what did you spend in 23 and 24 and 25. So anyway, I put in 25, we spent $75,000 on runway maintenance because it was getting in bad shape. Now, then I put, started with 26, probably 20,000, then 27, 21.7. So I basically just added,
3%,
I used
4%.
a 5% inflationary kick. Now, let's hope it's not really that high, but that's what I put in there. So it's not something you're committed to, it's telling the FAA, this is our plan. Now, the issue is this, is that runway was rebuilt back in the early teens, somewhere, I don't remember.
2018, something like that.
Yeah, I think it was further back than that. It was
Like
shortly
that.
after I came on this board. I came on this board in January 1 of 10. And so it was done in 11 or 12, I'd say. It was fairly early on.
Yeah.
Now it was $1,100,000, and then it recapped it. So what my point I'm going at is, if you take, at least my experience in life is that when you take buildings or structures or whatever, of course, you're gonna get a few years right out of the gate where you don't have any maintenance on it, because it's all brand new. But then the number I've always heard is 2-3% per year of capital invested. You might as well start budgeting for maintenance and upkeep. Now, if that's, I'm
2%
just
of
telling you.
that 1.1?
Yeah, so if you look at that, $20,000 is about 2% of 1.1, it's a little under 2% of 1.1 million. So that's, I think those are justifiable numbers as you go down there. Hopefully, with what we did this last year, we take care of it, we stay on top of it.
Right.
And we see little cracks out there, we get out there and get them filled, instead of letting them get 2 inches wide or an inch wide or whatever. I think we can stay on top of that and keep it going. We may not need that amount of money, but anyway, now, the point then, the bigger point of that is the FAA takes that and looks at it and says, okay, now the runway is cracked and bad shape and it's gotta be recapped, and they look at it and say, you guys didn't spend any money maintaining it, we're not gonna build another one.
Right.
So, so that's what this is all about.
So January.
This doesn't require any action, it's just a point of information to them, and I mentioned it, so I told them.
So I could make this clear, January, you get an idea of what we need done, try to get quotes for those projects in.
I wanna know what we're gonna need to get done.
That's
We'll-
what I'm
we'll get
writing
our- And then we need to get our spec sheets organized for what
Okay.
we're gonna put out for bids. I want it to be more of a organized, planned process versus, oh, we gotta do this, oh, we gotta do that.
That's what I'm
So
writing,
Jason's deal.
that's why I'm writing this down, so I'm clear on that.
That's what I'm going after.
Sounds good, I'm all for it.
So, but of the other things we've got down there, because we just talked about the hangar roofs, the restroom we have, we can just get after that. We don't have to spend a ton of money on it. Chris, I'm not trying to put pressure on you. If this just doesn't fit for you or work.
Kind of, we can probably do it now, it's slowed down.
Okay, well, anyway, I mean, my point is, I don't have an expectation that you're gonna donate it or anything like that. I'm not trying to put that on you. Of course, if you chose to, it'd be nice, but.
Yeah, you'll take the hill, yeah.
So, anyway, but we do need to get after that, and again, we gotta get a plan for it, what are we gonna do? We can
Yeah.
talk a lot about it.
Yeah.
Now, my thing is, I think we need a new vanity and sink, those toilets, I think, are pretty much brand new or relatively new, so,
Yeah.
you know, we take them up, put them back down, a little bit of flooring, and I think probably if we went to Lowe's or somewhere, they probably got some plank that there's not got a lot of that they wanna get rid of. You probably get a pretty good price on it, and they don't have to both be the same, and what do you got in there? You probably don't have 200 square feet in those.
Pretty small.
There's probably 8 by 8 bathrooms, yeah. Get that.
Yeah, there's not a lot of
Under
space.
800.
Yeah, you know, a little bead board or something like that to go around and some paint, and you got it fixed up. It looks a lot better. So I think that's not gonna be a high dollar thing.
Yeah, take the paper off.
I've talked a lot to Joe about our hangars and wanting to get the extra 2 foot on them and different things. He just doesn't really wanna go down that path. Because we had another 2 foot in height, then we could get a 12-foot clearance, so we could get 14, well, we could get 14 foot of clearance. We got 12-foot doors now, but we got
Why
14
doesn't he
foot
want
doors.
to go down that path?
Well, he said for one thing, then that, you know, the reason you're only getting 7 hangars now is because of the slope line coming off the center line of the runway and the height of the buildings. And you might even lose one whole hangar if you did that, just some myriad of things he doesn't like about it, so I keep beating him up about that. I don't know why we couldn't do a couple of them in one end, and then let the others be where they're the same size as well. And actually, I did talk to somebody that had a pole barn on their property, and they wanted to put an addition on it, and they just wanted two to go together. This one was, I forget, 36 feet or something like that, so I always thought this one to be 20 feet. They said, well, that'll cost you more than if you put it up here at 36, because it's tying the two structures in together is more troublesome than just going on out with the same thing you had, so.
Like a curtain wall.
I have a question pertaining to that though. If we ever wanted to, solicit maintenance professionals or something like that, would they be more prone to go for a 14-foot or?
14
Bigger burden.
Well, but if it were a FAA licensed repair station or something.
The big
like
reason
that.
I wanted to get it up and get it a higher one, so a guy like Chad can put that twin engine airplane in there. And we'd like to get some nice sized airplanes out there, because guess what they do?
You buy lots of
They
gas
burn gas.
and lots of it.
Yeah. Well, you could burn a truckload just taxiing to the other end of the runway.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I wanted to get some higher hangars in there. He said, well, that's why you're gonna build your box hangars.
I thought we discussed this during the design phase, that we were gonna go with the bigger doors.
Yeah.
We did.
We talked
I
about
thought this was a thing.
Well, what we might need to do then is tell him, well, let's bid this thing two ways. Bid it as you've got it designed, and bid it if we have taller hangars.
Yeah.
And then we may have to come back here and ask about, what's that?
That's the minimum.
Yeah?
DC-12 is 14 feet tall.
Yeah. So, we may have to come back and say, well, hey, here's the deal, guys, this is what we're trying to do, you want us to be self-sufficient. We can get those bigger hangars, and get bigger airplanes, and we can make more money on gas, and then.
Overnight fees and things like that, if we could ever get anything like that happen.
So they spend their money locally then, so.
So I'll tell Joe, but he's telling me that the higher hangars are gonna be problematic down there because of the slope line coming off the center line. I forget what that is, once it go out at 7 degrees or
I
something
don't
like
know,
that.
it's a no-go if you don't get the right size doors. That's just silly.
It costs us Chad too, wasn't it, or the twin engines?
What I'm choking on right now is $500 and some thousand to build that connector.
Yeah. $500,000, wow.
500,000.
Yeah. Wasn't cheap.
585 in construction and 150 in engineering and environment.
How much of that is paid by the grants?
90%, 95.
5% local,
2%, 2.5%
two and a half.
Yeah.
Bruce just was talking about that for the meeting out at the airport. He said, leave sleeping dogs lie on that unless we hear something.
He said that.
Bruce,
Well, there's something to be said for that, but they want to spend 150 on design in 2028. So if they don't design
That'd
it.
be expensive.
Could we put a bids out there instead?
So I think
It's 20%,
Chris,
a little over 20%.
Chris made an excellent point one day when we were out there talking about that. The idea of just putting a barricade across that north, that south exit off of the ramp, and the airplane, they're taxiing to one end or the other for a takeoff. They use that crossover when they land to turn into the ramp, but when they're in this runway incursion, that's what this is all about. That somebody, so they want straight line taxi, you just go out there and forget to stop, and somebody else is coming or going. But you're not doing it, you're going out there and you're either going north or south on the taxiway, and then line it up for your takeoff. And I can't, I'm naive, but I can't help but think, if you went to the FAA, well, that's something they want done, you made your case, that they might say, well, okay, we'll waive that. But if you don't play the game, and you don't get that crossover done, then it deteriorates and has to be rebuilt. You won't be able to get FAA funds, it'll be on the city to rebuild. That there again, when I look at these numbers here, I'm thinking, well, I don't know, the county highway can build bridges.
Why can't we do that?
What are you gonna do? You fill in, you can pack it, and hire somebody to put blacktop down.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine why it would take, now the FAA does it, and you're gonna have to
Gotta
study.
give all those people who went to college a reason to do it and use their engineering so they can pay them.
Well, they're doing it. So, you know, we gotta make sure there's not some kind of little snail out there.
That's, yeah.
Anyway, that's not a near-term thing, but something to think about. I'll continue to nag at him about those hangars and getting them taller. We want taller hangars so we can get some bigger airplanes.
But I thought he had a design with all of
No,
well.
he had a standard design in there.
Did he?
These
Okay.
would be built just about the same as that current south bank of hangars with the both folding, bifold doors on it.
Sure.
And what yours,
So, Joel's already put together one advertisement that he put out there for commercial development. It looked pretty good, so I think we need to stay after that kind of thing.
I think he means
Carl.
Carl,
I was like,
Oh, hi, Carl.
you were the first thing that came to mind when I looked that way.
I was like, when did you get into that?
Anyway, Carl has already put together one advertisement, so we do need to start getting the word out that those hangars are coming and start getting people lined up for them. I think at a meeting a month or two ago, I talked about working with Mr. Stonger, basically not really offering him a chance to say, we're gonna take, you wanna keep 2 airplanes in hangars, we're moving the airplane out of the folding, bifold door over into one of the old T hangars, the one that Chip had, and you'll save a little money, but we want that hangar for somebody that's flying. And you're not storing all of your records out there.
I seen that. That's
you did,
amazing.
you've already done this.
No, I said we talked about doing that, I haven't talked to the guy.
When I left the airport tonight, our new tenant had a door going like this, and he was walking over to the fuel system to get a ladder to try to fix it.
Yeah, that Western Bravery out of the cable came off the pulley up top, so I guess he works on those hangars, so he knew exactly how to fix it then, so,
Okay, well,
yeah.
but that's a whole nother issue.
Well, I've got another issue on top of that, you know, we've got Weston out there with an airplane that he's bought and brought to our facility, and wondering how to fly. Be nice to get him in the main hangar over the winter, so he can fly every week without freezing to death, trying to prep his airplane and get those stupid.
Well, is there, your airplane and
Dave, Dave Cromwell's.
Cromwell's airplane, and the only 2 in there, Cromwell's doesn't take up much, and he's not even here, he's in Florida over
There's
there.
nothing going on with Dave's, and probably won't till April, won't be.
Yeah.
So is there enough room in there to,
Oh, we need to do something with Dave, basically. I mean, I'm planning to fly over the winter. I don't really wanna give up my seat for anybody, but
well, I'm just saying, is there enough room?
No.
Okay,
Yeah, it's too tight at this airport.
that Beechcraft's too big to
so
try
we
to.
have to get permission from Cromwell to do something with this.
Yeah.
Be nice if we could.
He's got it all nicely covered, so if we put it in one of the old T hangars and covered it, would he be acceptable to that?
You can use the reasoning is, as many people are coming through that hangar and you're not around to, your airplane, some hangar rash should be happening, that there's an angle, right? That's what I'm saying. Because it's true.
Yeah.
Me, he's not there, somebody come in, whatever, hit the airplane, whatever.
Just be nice for, convenience sake for Harold and Weston to be able to operate out of the main hangar during the winter. The summer, you can kick them right back over to where they came from.
Yeah, just Dave's here for some, for sure.
Something to think about, if there's any way you could make it work.
I got Mr. Kalamazoo back, you work on that.
That requires somebody with some diplomacy. I don't think Dave's gonna be real, I don't like to do that.
I don't think he will, because he got his tools and everything, he's got his whole, yeah, he had to relocate everything, he may not want, I'll reach out to him and get some vibrations from him.
See what you can learn
I got
about
his phone number, so.
it. Okay.
Well, be careful about how you do it. We don't
No
wanna
kidding.
offend him.
No, guys, you don't want to lose him either, because he,
Yeah.
Would you consider consider?
Yes.
Yes, can we
Yeah.
cover your space?
Yeah, would you consider, please?
Yeah, we've got
Pretty
a
please.
new student that's bought his own airplane,
And
he's
you don't
learning how
have
to
a price.
fly, you know.
I'll give him a call when I get back from vacation then, so.
Which hangar does he have right now?
Hmm?
This,
It's Chip's old hangar.
oh, that's, yeah,
Yeah, it's trouble.
that deterred me going out there.
Does Stonger have a decent hangar?
Yeah, he's got the last hangar on the east end, on the north side.
Well,
What airplane do you
at
buy?
the very least.
They got
we
big
need to
bonanza.
get his butt out
Oh,
of
yeah.
there.
Yeah, 50
Weston
small
there.
there.
At the very least, and we
Yeah.
really need to
Heck
get
of an airplane.
Weston in the main
And you get
hangar
a
for
pilot's
the
license
winter,
in it.
just to make it, you know, nice for him. But
Dual controls,
Yeah, the brake's only on one side though.
flips,
Get a
Yeah.
little preheat.
oh,
bar.
brakes on them.
People can come out,
Dual
give us a
yoke.
heads up, they
Right.
come in, we can go
The brake's all
start
on,
heating their
I have
engines.
pilot side only, so.
Got a handbrake.
well,
I don't know, I've never been
I
in.
don't know about you, Jim, but it's also nice to be
Good question.
inside that building while
Yeah,
you're
second
free flying
flight
the
lessons,
airplane.
Well, I understand that,
Yeah.
but, you know, we can't, I mean, we only do what we can do. I could get him into that better hangar. would be a
One of the
big
better
move.
hangars
Be a
would help.
Big move in the right direction.
Yeah, at least show him we're thinking about it.
But
you
that'd
know.
be doctors. That'd be the,
Stonger's hangar.
yeah,
Where's he got his 182?
Yeah.
it doesn't fly.
And that one, I'm not as concerned about. Their phones not real good, so what? So, anyway, okay. Go talk to Cromwell and get a feel for what he's thinking.
Yeah, give him a call.
Don't push it.
I won't, yeah. We like him, oh,
Yep. And, but, we try to get after Stonger. Yeah, you can talk to Stonger, diplomacy's not nothing. So, I talked to you about getting the priorities for the non-primary entitlement items that we want to try to get done. I don't have a clue. I did talk to Andrea about it. I said, I haven't seen anything on our budgets. Usually we've seen what the budgets are going to be allocated. I haven't seen it, so I don't know. That may have to do again with the states redoing all of this property tax stuff, so maybe nobody knows what's going on just yet. But I haven't seen a thing, so I don't know what we've got for next year to work with at this point. Wrap up real quick, we did go to the Air Zoo last Saturday. We ended up with 18 customers. And the feedback I got was pretty positive. Joe, you went, I think everybody enjoyed it.
No, it was kid friendly and everything, so it was a pretty good deal.
So, and I asked at the end of the trip when we got back, if folks would like to do something like that again, and then again, I thought that was pretty good feedback. Now, what I think the strength of that is if we want to plan another trip or something like that in the future, we got a whole bunch of people, we can go take some pictures and get some testimonials, come out, what a good trip it was, how much they enjoyed it, yada, 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 to help promote the event and to build that bus, so,
You got the contact information for the 18 people that were there?
yeah. So I think we could get something like that going. So I don't know, we need to talk about doing a trip to Kalamazoo again, or down to Dayton. But, again, we need to get that planned way out in advance. Get it lined up. It went well, it was a good trip. Imperial travel had good equipment, ride was good. You were a little further back, I was up front, but pretty smooth back there.
Yeah, no, it was way smooth back there. I sat in the emergency exit just in case. That's what I was going for. I was looking for that emergency window.
Yeah.
Because bus travel is probably the most dangerous form of travel there is. I mean, you're trusting some guy that you don't know.
Yeah.
With 18 people, he can wipe out a whole family.
Right.
You know? I'm like,
Well, your driver, Tim, was 26 years out with the reserves and security. Nice guy. I
He did good.
I looked over his shoulder and we watched his speeds and stuff. He always stayed about 5 over the posted speed limit.
And he's from Charlotte too, then.
That's right, he was from Chile. Imperial had let him take the bus home on Friday night. So Saturday morning, he just had a short road trip down there to pick us up. So, a nice employer.
yeah, absolutely. No, he did a good job. Everybody did a good job.
How many people do you think for the next meeting? How far
out at about 30.
Or the beach, yeah.
Yeah, 30.
Yeah.
More than 30.
No, I don't think we did.
No, it's usually right around
20, between 20 and 30.
Yeah. We'll get that cake on order again.
Okay, all right.
All right, so, yeah, I guess that's, is that gonna be a potluck deal again, what we're doing?
Well, we've never really promoted it that way, but people just have on their own
Yeah.
decided they'd bring a little something along, so. I've never sent the invitation out and said, bring it just to share or anything like that. Beyond just, I used to just get meat and cheese plates, and then Chris down here thought that would be too chintzy.
Yeah, I want to do something different this year. I'm not sure what.
That's okay. That's all right, so I'll leave it up to you. Do I need to remind you?
Probably not.
So you don't have to scramble at 4 o'clock Friday afternoon, 14.
They did good on that, by the way, didn't they?
Yeah.
So, okay. You keep in mind, we'll meet here at 5 o'clock. So Dave, December will start at 5.
Okay. I think I've got that in my calendar already,
Okay.
but I will
Okay,
check.
and 7 at the airport.
Quick meeting. We have a little get together out at the airport at 7 for people that are kind to us, and you've been kind to us, so you're welcome to join us if you care to. Okay? It's a pretty low-key thing. We don't have to worry about too much about the drunks or anything like that.
I'm a flight instructor lead if you want to pursue that. I don't know what.
Well, we got to get something for them to instruct in.
Yeah, it's really-
Dale can't be here.
Would you like the name and contact info? He's from here originally.
Who is it?
Hayden native.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I would
He's
say right
instructor down there in Kokomo.
right at this point in time, I'm probably not real interested in it because I don't have anything for him to train in.
Yeah.
And if he's already training down at Kokomo, I don't suppose he's gonna bring one of their planes up here to,
I don't think they'd go for that.
so.
Matter of fact, almost certain.
He was kind of interested in the charter service thing too.
Yeah.
So if we establish one.
Yeah, I thought we might go up, I did briefly talk to some, I don't know who it was, I didn't get a business card from him, someone from, up at Fort Wayne.
Aviation. Fleet aviation.
Yes. And he said, that's something you can do, I mean, my thinking on that is just, we had something we could advertise, if we have charter service available, but we're just working it through a third party. Call them up and say, here's the charter, can you pick them up in Peru? What's it gonna cost? We might make a few bucks on it, but it would be another service if it's out there. What, is Kokomo, does he do charters?
There is, I mean, not through like Flight Training Center. Flight Training Centers has, we've got, an RG and two 172 fixed wheel. We've got the Cherokee, the trainer planes. Now, they've got some other airplanes, like they've got a Cheyenne there that's Nathan, I believe, is one of the owners. There's a couple guys that owners on those planes. And then, I don't think specifically Steve Stantz has charter planes, but there's different businesses down there. There's like Laura, I'm sure you know Laura Stantz, and she flies charter stuff all the time. And as well as Morgan Mountain is flying, charter. I don't know if it's charter, it's corporate, more corporate than charter. I don't think it's, hey, I need to go to Fort Lauderdale. I think it's the company that owns the airplane and the people that work for that company, and then they fly them around. There's 3 or 4, that Cheyenne's one of them that's sitting in the main hangar there. But I know Steve and Laura think that here and there. I don't know how much I spend on actually doing corporate in that airplane. That's
Okay.
personal airplane.
the victim then, so.
Chris, if I was available, I'd come and help you.
All right.
I've heard.
All right, though. Motion adjourned.
I make a motion we adjourn.
We stand adjourned.